Hello? Okay. Okay, if everybody will have a seat, we will get started. We have a fantastic speaker today, so we want to give her all the time in the world. How's everybody doing? Some thumbs up, some goods. Any good news anybody wants to share? Look at this packed house. Any good news? Should we bring Rob up for some good news? Bring up Rob. I just have chills with him just walking up here.
Well, here's some good news. Did you guys know that Keller Williams with Century 21 fed 355 families on Saturday? 355 families whose lives will be changed forever because of you, because of your generosity. We won the Turkey Bowl. We kicked their butts. So congratulations, everyone. That was last year. They snuck it away from us. And so good job, everyone donating and sharing. I know this year's been a little bit different as far as that money goes, but who's got a calculator? What's 355 times 5? $1,775 people were fed because of your efforts. If you think about that, when we're sitting down this week, the next day or so, and we're really enjoying Thanksgiving, and we're looking around and we're enjoying this food and we're enjoying family and we're thinking how good our lives are, I want you to take a second and think about those 1,700 plus people and think about how their lives were changed because we showed up on that day. Because for Thanksgiving, we delivered 65 pounds of food to their family. Saturday was amazing. We fed 3,000 families here along the Wasatch Front, 3,000 families. That's 15,000 people who received food, who will be sitting down and enjoying meals because of what we did. If you guys came on Saturday, I see some faces out there that were there on Saturday. It's an amazing operation. There was the Jordan high school baseball team was there, and there was a soccer team and a swim team. These kids were working, lifting these 65-pound boxes all day. But I really want to focus on one thing today, and that is, number one, my gratitude for you for showing up and helping me feed these families. Couldn't do it without you guys. This is a dream of mine. Someone served my family when I was a boy, and it changed my life forever. And in so doing, I hope that we can serve a family and there'll be a little boy as crazy as me that will say, this is great. I want to pay this forward one day. And they grow up to be a lunatic and they feed a lot of people. And they have wonderful friends like you. That's my hope, is we're changing the world. I really believe that we're changing the world and we're making it a better place. We as real estate agents are leaders. Our families, our friends, those people who hire us are hiring us to be leaders, and not just leaders in real estate, but leaders in life. And if we can provide them a safe, meaningful opportunity to serve and connect, we're doing our job. Our job is more than just selling houses. I want you guys to know that. It's to provide meaning in these people's lives, to help them and to lead them to service opportunities. So if it wasn't with Thanksgiving's Heroes, please find something that you love, that you can champion, and carry that flag up the hill and bring your SOI with you, because we're here to make a difference. That's why we're here. Thank you so much.
Love it. Thank you, Rob. And yes, thank you everybody for who participated. So, okay, next we're going to do a small little commercial. We're going to have Jonathan in the back come up here. He is a very dear friend. Okay, I want you to say it. This is Robin's nephew.
This is Jonathan Buckwalter from Japan, and his dad is my husband's cousin. So we have the same last name. And I'm going to let him talk about why he's here. So I invited him to come bring you guys something special.
Okay. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually not one of the speakers, so I don't have anything prepared. I'm Robin's, I call her my cousin, but I'm not. So I wanted to come to you to drop off some products I recently developed. I recently started a low-calorie, healthy nutrition company called Sapari because I was dealing with this annoying problem that you guys probably deal with all the time. Robin tells me she deals with annoying problem. She's always on the go. So the problem that I was dealing with, I used to be a banker. I didn't have time to eat at all. I probably had 5 to 10 minutes every day. So I used to eat a lot of protein bars, candies, snacks, bananas, drink a lot of water. And I gained a ton of weight. I got really sick. I started to experience really weird symptoms, and I went to see a doctor. My doctor told me, hey, you need to sleep more, eat better, exercise, and manage your stress. So I was going to go back to my manager and say, hey, I want to work less, but I realized that's not going to happen. So I was thinking, what can I do to fix this, at least in a kind of a food space? And I had this idea. There's a product in Japan called Waiter In. And what it is it comes in a plastic pouch like this. It's in the back. Those are the products that we recently launched. Yes, Kim has it. Yes, and it's made with essential vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, antioxidants, and made with a ton of fruit extracts. And it's perfect for kind of on the go. And kind of one of the best features is it's only 10 calories. It's very functional, it gives you natural energy. It's good for your digestion. It's good for, healthy aging and skin. And I develop products for you guys, because you guys probably don't have time to go to Zupa's and eat, right? I mean, I just talked to Kim. Kim only had a little orange this morning, and that's not going to get her going. So I'm like, I got to make something for people who are so busy. So I brought some samples. Hopefully you guys like them. I also developed a nighttime one. I binge eat at night all the time. 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm hungry and I'm eating snacks or leftover food. That's a sure way to gain weight, because then you go to bed, your metabolism slows down. So what I also developed was something that fills you up for an hour or two, only 10 calories, and helps you relax. It's got stuff like chamomile, lemon balm, stuff like this, and it gives you quality sleep. So if you guys are interested, please try. The texture is kind of strange for probably a lot of you guys. It's a Japanese product. Yeah, it tasted good, but I think if you get over the texture, I think you guys will like it. So yeah, hopefully you guys like them. Just come to our website if you like them, and yeah, hopefully you can support us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Get this thing going here. Okay, next we have Safe and Sound Home Inspection. Are they not here yet? I don't think they're here yet, but they are bringing us lunch. So we're going to thank them for that in a minute. Introland, Travis.
Terry, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
For Zoomland, can you tell us what website he has his product at? The guy with the nutritious stuff?
Jonathan, don't leave. What is your website? Hold on.
Okay, I'll okay.
Tell them also what there's a little frame back here with a QR code. Does that take people to the website?
Yeah, it's the website. Yes. Oh.
Okay, so it's Sapari, SAPARI.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome. He also has Instagram, sapari.life on Instagram.
Cool. Thank you so much for getting that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks, Jonathan. How's everyone doing today? Thank you for being at team meeting and having me do a quick mortgage minute. So good news, rates are still right around 6.4. I priced one out, just a normal conventional standard loan, nothing special, not too crazy of credit, 720, but it priced out at a 6.4. So if a conventional purchase, 5% down, 720 credit score, primary home. Rena, just kidding. Anyway, so rates are coming down. They were steadily at 7 and even higher for the past several weeks or months, right? Anyway, we're at 6.4. And then here's the good news is the Fed has been raising rates consistently at 0.75. Generally, they're going to raise them either 0.5, 0.75, or 1 full point. And they've been raising them like this to curb inflation, as you guys know. Luckily, some reports came out in November that were just awesome. They were way better than anyone expected as far as inflation, consumer price index, those kinds of things. So instead of the Fed raising it 0.75, They're still going to raise it, which is, this is kind of the funny position, is there's good news and bad news. So I'm not 100% sure with how the markets will react, but it is better news and better than what we've been seeing. So when the Fed raises rates by about 0.5, that doesn't necessarily mean mortgage rates are going to go up. In fact, they might go down slightly because, again, the Fed's only raising 0.5 and they've been raising at a higher rate for a long time. So in my opinion, it's going to be 6.4 and we might get close to that 6%. And then in the industry, everybody's kind of projection is probably by February or at the very latest spring, we're going to be back in the 5s. So let's hope for that. I know, right? Yes. Some affordability back. And then just one last quick thing. I keep reiterating this because it's so important. Most of our clients, most of the consumers have been getting their news and their information from headlines. Headlines are negative in nature. They're for ratings and that's it. They're not for truth. They're not to teach you. They're to get ratings. You guys are the market experts and you guys are the ones. And when I if I communicate with my clients, I tell them that they need to be getting their information from an industry specialist, an expert. That's you guys. Even the people writing these articles and headlines, they don't know anything about real estate. When you have a client and they don't think they're well qualified or it's not quite affordable or they want to qualify for more, get them pre-qualified. It doesn't have to be through me. Cross Country is an awesome option as well, but we broker, so we have the best pricing. We can find all the best programs. But if you guys get your client pre-qualified, I'm telling you, we can get them qualified for higher than you think and more affordable than you think. Quick situation that we did just 2 weeks ago with Tim Lowry, one of his clients. We priced it out just right at about a 6.385. We did a permanent buy down for less than $3,000. So he was at a 5.875. And then Tim got the 2-1 buy down on top of that. That's 3.875. He's going to ask for the 3-2-1 buy down. That will put this client at a 2.875. Those are better rates than we had during COVID. Prices are better. Your buyers get to negotiate. I promise there are solutions to the affordability and the rates problem. So just get them pre-qualified. Come see either one of us and we'll get them there. But okay, thank you guys.
Very good news. Thank you. Okay, so just a real quick update. We are going to be closed on Thursday, Friday. We are also closing early tomorrow, so everybody can go home and enjoy time with their family. We'll be back on Monday. And then just quick reminder, we have our business planning clinic with Boyd Brown. That is going to be on the 29th from 11 to 1 right here in this room. So you will leave with an actual business plan. So you want to come in here, come somewhat prepared, but you will leave with an actual business plan. We also have a Reels workshop. Anybody intimidated by social media a little bit? Yes. Reels. Yes. So we will be doing Reels on December 1st from 2:30 to 3:30 Thursday with Kimber. And if anybody follows her, you know, her Reels are awesome. And then we have a lot going on, you guys. Yes. 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 The holiday social. Holiday social. Anybody going? Who's going? Yay. Okay. So yes, after that, and then we also have this one, which is going to be awesome. We are bringing in Abe Shreve, and this is going to be at the community college. I would highly recommend that you guys attend this. You do need to register, but it is free. This one is going to be on December 6th from 9 to noon. Again, at the community college, but it's basically on Rock the Recession, and he's the CEO of MAP's business side of things. So he knows a lot about what's happening in the business world. And then don't forget our Christmas party, December 6th. Do we still need RSVPs? Are we still taking them? Yes. So please RSVP. We still need head counts for food and all of that fun stuff. So if you haven't RSVP'd for that, please do.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So the thing at the community college is the same, goes over team meeting, but will there still be team
We will
meeting?
not have a team meeting that day. Thank you. Good catch.
Okay.
Good catch. We will not have a team meeting that day. Thank you for bringing that up. So in lieu of team meeting, we will all be going to the community college. It's that important that we're there.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Delise. Okay, so next up, I'm super excited to introduce our guest speaker today, which is our very own Cecilia. Anybody who's had any time, yes, give her a round of applause. Anybody who has spent any time in front of her desk more than just a question regarding commission, has anyone done that before? Because I have. She is a very deep thinker. I love the way she thinks, and she has probably been researching this for years, what she's going to talk about today. Been writing this. She has aspirations to do a TED Talk, and this is her TED Talk to us. So we're super excited to have her. And also just with the way of the market, the time of year, all of that, it's important for us to just have our minds right? So without further ado, here is Cecilia.
We lost sound on Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. Sorry, Sammy, I switched the title. So you were right before. So I gave her this title about like 3 months ago. And so now it's going to be titled Thinking Differently, How to Build Success from Within. So as Terry said, I'm more of a philosophical thinker, and I'm also a philosophical speaker. So about 2 years ago, I decided to start studying life. And for some reason, I just found such an attraction towards it. And mainly about a year ago, I started to study thoughts, right? Who could say they really think about their thoughts? Couple people, cool. How many hours do you spend a day thinking about thoughts? Not many, right? See, I'm the weirdo that actually thinks about thoughts every single day. No idea why I do it, but I'm really fond of it. So I'm excited to share some of the things that I have found from the leaders that I've started to practice. And then eventually what led me to studying thoughts eventually led me to studying emotions and feelings. And so I'm going to share a little bit of that as well. I think a lot of us right now could use different thought patterns with how the market has shifted, because this is something we haven't seen before, right? So if we can think a little bit differently in this market, I believe we can have and build more success. So to jump into it, Gary Keller says leadership is teaching people how to think. But before we can actually teach people how to think, I think we need to know how to think ourselves. I like to describe thoughts kind of like hiccups, right? They just pop into your mind out of nowhere. And for me, I'm like, we have about 70,000 thoughts that go through your mind every single day. So why is it the ones that you focus upon are the ones that represent you? So I also like to think of thoughts as just a belief. And so a belief is just a repeated thought. So the thoughts that we end up attaching to in our mind are the ones that we end up saying that we believe, because it's the action we take upon the thoughts that we're thinking about. So I believe that manifestation about a couple of years ago began to boom, that we can manifest anything we desire, which is kind of crazy to me because before that, that really seemed like magic to people. But I think it all starts in the mind. Sorry, let me turn this on. Not jumping. Okay, so here's some of the leaders that I have studied. Just to give you an idea, this is only just a few of them, by the way. There's hundreds of more, but these are the few that I really have been fond of picking minds about. So to look around and see that everything that you're sitting in, the roads that you drove on, the cars that you got into today, all of those items were first created from a thought, from your mind, a human being. So I tell myself, this whole world then is created by you. Now, when I begin to look at the world in that way, I realize how incredible, first of all, the human being is. But I also, when people come and speak to me, I'm like, why do we doubt ourselves then? Because a human being was allowed to do that. Why are you not allowed to do that? And especially with the market we're sitting in today, I like to think of it as this is just a new way of thinking that we've never thought about before. The same way these great leaders somehow found a way to embody their truth, to bring something into this world that has never been done before. But I think it always goes back to, for me at least, why are we having the thoughts we're having? Because I know I think way differently than my sister, way differently than my dad, and way differently than all the people I work with. I also like to think that, you guys still hear me? I also like to think that life is like buying a new car. So when you buy a new car, all of a sudden you see it everywhere, right? But before you bought that car, why the heck could you not see it before that? So when I started to study these new different beliefs and thoughts, I started to get a little scared because I'm like, how all of a sudden can I see what exactly they're saying now? But all of a sudden, I wasn't able to see before. So the Buddha says the greatest suffering in our world comes from attachment. And I believe once we attach to certain thought patterns that we believe are true, we begin to have fear on the feelings that come with it. Wayne Dyer, one of my most favorite spiritual leaders, he beautifully says something that I carry with every single day. He says that we tend to forget that we're spiritual beings just having a human body experience. So at first we're spiritual, and then we bring it into the physical world. So has anybody in this room read The Alchemist before? Awesome. Okay, that's one of my most favorite books. One reason is it sold over 150 million copies. So of course this has to have some value to it, right? People take their time to buy this book and read it. But more so, it's the meaning that this book carries. So this book mainly is about a man that searches for meaning his entire life. He goes through all these different trials, all these different experiences. And in the end, the whole goal of his life is to find this buried treasure. And so when he finally gets to the end to find his buried treasure, when he opens the chest, all he finds in it is just one note. And that note, all it said was, for the buried treasure that one seeks for lies within. And so when I began to study more about thoughts and emotions and feelings, and then I happened to start reading this book, I realized that we are always chasing our entire lives for answers. And until I started actually realizing how I feel and how I think, I believe everyone in this room has purpose as well as myself. But again, why is it that to make this world go round, we need doctors, scientists, farmers, real estate agents, clients, teachers, leaders? We have to somehow be able to play a role in this world we call life. So when you begin to feel exactly your emotions and thoughts, it kind of scares you a little bit, because you're beginning to embark on a journey that is going to be the one that you were made to live in. And so when I read this book, it made me realize that maybe I've been unhappy most of my life, or in some situations of my life, because I just have been searching for everyone else's life but my own. And so when you're out here in the market and playing with it and realizing what kind of strategies you need to embark on yourself, I ask you to just look within and realize the personality and characteristics that you already have embodied yourself. And then don't be scared to reach out and try new things. Because for me, I realized that where you focus your time is where you are going to succeed. And so the person that taught me the most about time was Kobe Bryant. Never in my life did I think I was going to be somebody that plays basketball because I have no desire to play basketball. But it was his mindset that I really enjoyed studying. And mainly because when I watched a lot of his interviews, he talked about the compound effect, which is a finance term, but he applied it to a sport. And so the compound effect really is just small changes can eventually turn into drastic results. And so he would tell these people he would interview with, he's like, I have no idea why people wouldn't think like this. For I would wake up twice as early every single day, get twice the amount of practices in, and in 5 years, nobody would be able to touch me. And what he thought about was in 5 years, if I did 5 times out of the week and I practiced twice as many times, in 5 years, the math would be I would have 18,000 times more practice, more understanding, more experience than anybody I played against. And it obviously showed because if you ever watch Kobe Bryant, when he stepped onto the basketball court, his teammates would talk about the fearlessness in him. They would talk about the confidence he had. I mean, his teammates thought he was literally crazy, that they would like throw balls at his face to try to mess with him. And he wouldn't even move. He's like, nope, nobody's going to be able to touch me. But it's because you're willing to put in extra time and extra work into yourself that you're actually able to make a huge impact in what you're doing. And so when I began to think of time that way, I also realized that you don't have to be good at what you're doing, especially these new agents out here that are scared, that have no idea what they're doing. I want to talk to you right now and give you a little story about myself. So when I was a kid, about 11 or 10 years old, I decided that I wanted to play soccer because my twin sister was playing soccer. So I was doing dance and then I quit dance to go play soccer. And I remember going up to my dad and I was telling him like, hey dad, like put me in soccer, I want to play. And he looked at me and he said, honey, are you sure? Because he knew I did not know how to play soccer. He already seen me play soccer and he's like, are you sure you want to play? Like, I really don't believe this is your sport. And I said, no, like there was something in me that wanted to play. So I ended up playing, but I still remember the feelings that I had on the teams I played and how my coaches would yell in my face and how a lot of my teammates made me feel bad because obviously I was the worst on the team and I get it. I could look back and say, I understand why they were doing what they were doing, but there was a little voice inside of me that told me to start going out every single day and just touching the ball. I had no idea what to do. I didn't have parents that could teach me. I just used YouTube and I had a ball and a wall and some grass. And so I went out there every single day in between school and practice and I decided to start practicing. And the funny thing about time, I didn't even know it when I was a kid, is you are sacrificing a part of you every single day as a human being. You only have 24 hours out of your day, and you also only have so many years to live. So I began to think, what makes you think that when you put time into something that you aren't going to get an outcome from it? You're literally sacrificing your life for it. So eventually, the awesome thing about it is I became one of the greatest players in my region. I ended up making newspapers in my high school. I was named captain on every team I played on. I was asked to play in men's leagues. I played on semi-pro teams. I got a full-ride scholarship to college. And eventually, I was asked to go play pro. But the funny thing is nobody teaches you when you fall out of love for something. So I like to think of soccer as my lesson. The funny thing is it's once from fear I've learned that the world begins to open up to you. And because I had one thought, just to pick up that soccer ball and go into the grass, that my life changed forever for the next few years. So David Goggins, I'm sure a lot of you guys know this guy, one of my favorite. He was the guy that honestly taught me how to become fearless. He also taught me how to take thoughts and turn them out of fear and into confidence. So a line that he says that I absolutely love is, if you do not take control of your life, life will control you. And I'll be the first one to admit that life has controlled me most of my life. So the crazy thing about David Goggins is he's probably had one of the hardest childhood you can ever imagine, but he was able to eventually hold the world record for having the most pull-ups ever done. How many do you think he was able to do? 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours. What mind, right? Can even think about doing that. But because he went through hell when he was a child, he decided to do the impossible. He was a man that taught me that there is no limitations to what you're capable of doing. And so even when I was that kid playing soccer, thinking that there was no way in heck that I was able to accomplish what I eventually got to, he taught me that there was no way in heck that anything I do in this life, I wouldn't be able to do if I focused my attention on it. So I like to bring up Carl Jung in this instance of David Goggins, because Carl Jung, if you've never heard of him, he's a psychoanalyst, and he kind of breaks down this shadow. He says, integrating the shadow, and we all have it. So the shadow I like to describe is the opposite of what you are. And so what you personify and what you show others, there's a hidden being inside of you that is screaming out to be heard. But most of the time, it's covered with fear because you've never shown it before. And it's that side of you that you have to overcome and be able to show others. But Carl Jung says, until you're able to integrate your shadow with the person you are, then there's no way you're ever going to be fully happy. And so what I thought is, why not integrate the shadow? And so I want to share just a few stories with you on how I started small with overcoming the feeling of fear, but also fear itself. And then also I decided to do things that I never thought was possible, just like David Goggins, right? So I started to say, when I heard or when I listened to Alan Watts, I don't know if any of you guys know who Alan Watts is, but he's a philosophical entertainer. And he said a line where he said, if you treat your system like an alarm clock, you could tell it what to do and it will do it for you. Crazy to me, because for me, I'm one that forgets everything. And so the fact that I just heard that I could tell myself what to do and it would remind me seems beyond my capacity of even thinking. And so when I finally decided every morning, and I did this for about 3 to 4 months, that every morning I woke up and I told myself, okay, I want to wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I want to wake up at 7 a.m. tomorrow. I want to wake up at 8 a.m. Whatever the time was that I wanted to wake up, I told myself before I went to sleep, hoping that I would wake myself up, because this is what he said, right? I mean, the anxiety and fear that I felt that nobody knew about, but I was feeling it, was like, dang, because there were some mornings I had to wake up and I had to be up. And so I was talking to myself like, girl, are you going to do it tomorrow? Because I am doubting you right now. But I did this for 3 to 4 months. And by my surprise, it actually worked. And so what I learned about in faith is that when you decide to take that step forward, and when you decide to take a leap where you cannot see what's in front of you, surprisingly, it actually works for you. And that's why I know there's this higher force working with this spirituality. And so I had a fun time playing with life. And so I took it even further, where I decided to start doing that randomly throughout the day. Like, hey, I need to text this person at this time. Can you remind me? And by my surprise, it always did. And so eventually I started having fun with life. I was like, oh, we can do a lot more than I thought. And I know this all seems kind of crazy to you, but it's so real to me. And so that's why I want to share this with you, because another little fear that I decided to overcome was I've always been scared to tell people how I actually feel. And I grew up with a dad that always was, he was a kind of a hard shell. And he showed through actions how much he loved us, but he can never really speak on what he actually felt. And so I kind of weirdly embodied it. So now when I try to tell people how I feel, I start like getting teary-eyed or just emotional, and I just feel really uncomfortable. So I was like, I don't want to feel that way anymore. And so what I told myself is every day that I go out, for so many months, I started practicing this, that if my thought wanted to give somebody a compliment, you had to go up to that stranger and tell them. And so when I started to do that, I also thought of Wayne Dyer, another spiritual leader, that would tell me that, hey, don't be scared to go actually give love to another human being, that whatever you put out, it will always come back around. And so I wanted to test all these different theories that I was hearing. And so I remember one specifically that I had this lady come in and turn in some earnest money. And I remember my thought was like, hey, compliment her hair. And so I did. And I remember the exact line that I said to her too. I was like, hey, I just want to let you know that you have such beautiful hair. And she obviously, we started a conversation and she replied back, thank you. And we began talking. And as I left, as usual, it felt uncomfortable, but I remember the feeling I had after that. I just felt good finally just saying how I felt. And so it's funny, later that afternoon, I went to go get physical therapy done because I got in a car accident this time. And so I was going to this place that I went to every single week, by the way. And that same day, the ladies that I always see walked up to me and she said, Cecilia, I just want to let you know that you have beautiful hair. And it's crazy to me how when you begin to focus your attention on something, and this goes back to the car example, okay? So when you begin to focus your attention on what you decide to believe and what you decide to do, all of a sudden life starts giving it back to you. So when I buy that car, I see it everywhere. Now that I'm all of a sudden believing these new beliefs, how is it that all of a sudden these things are happening to me? The power of awareness is real. So when you want to start playing with life, I promise you, it's going to play back with you. So Xing Hing Yi, little weird name. He is popular for doing many TED Talks. He's famous for being a warrior monk and has millions of views on a lot of his YouTube channel. So why I ended up studying him, or he kind of found me, was he helped me realize that emotions and thoughts, when they're connected, has the greatest power. And so I was studying thoughts and I was finally understanding what I was thinking about, but he brought my attention and awareness to how I was feeling, so the emotion parts of myself. And a lot of his videos were ones that I became fond of because has anybody ever had the experience where they get thoughts and feelings that they should text their mom out of nowhere? And then you go and text your mom. She's like, oh my gosh, honey, I was just thinking about you. Thank you so much for texting me. I was having the hardest day. Or something with your clients. You're like, oh, I got to text them this. And they're like, I was just thinking that. That's crazy that you text me. I'm so glad that you text me. So that comes again for me, the awareness of your thoughts and your feelings. So imagine if you were able to study how you feel and how you think on a daily basis, you would know yourself so well enough, but you would also know when somebody else is crying out for help. You would also know when somebody else is feeling some type of way. Because for me, I know for a long time, I'm an empathic person. So I got caught in other people's feelings instead of my own. So there was a lot of times I would feel certain ways throughout the day. And I'm like, why am I feeling this? Like nothing is going wrong. But I realized that I picked up different energies from other people, which is totally fine. But I think to be completely happy and understand what situation you're in at all moments of the day, it's very beneficial to actually start studying your emotions. And so what I started to do is I took different words like doubt and fear and happiness and love. And I started at months at a time studying what they were and when they came to me, why I doubted, why I feared, what I loved. And in doing that, it taught me when I came across Xing Hing Li is to start attaching thoughts to my emotions. And see, what I learned the most is when you attach thoughts to emotions, the answers of what next step you should take or what actually is happening in this moment becomes alive. And so another little story that I like to share is I was recently in Tahoe with my dad. And my dad is probably the most competitive person you'll ever meet. He wants to intimidate you. He wants to win. And so we played a casual game of cornhole. And it was tied probably like 20-20 or 19-19. And it was 1v1, me and him. And I remember when I was a kid, how my dad used to make me feel. He would intimidate me a lot. And so he definitely has a power over people when it comes to using his mind. But we were playing this cornhole game. And I remember the whole game, we were just having such a ball. And once it's tied up and it's the end of the game, he starts getting really competitive. But I remember it was silent and I was getting ready to throw the beanbags into the cornhole. And I remember a feeling came over me. Like, I all of a sudden, am I scared? Why do I feel anxiety? You know, and then beginning to answer and ask questions to myself made me realize where those emotions and feelings were coming from. And so I realized that it was my dad, and he was trying to intimidate me from afar. And I started smiling. I was like, oh, okay, I hear you. Like, I see this now. And it became really cool because I did win that game, by the way. I shot those two in. It didn't bother me this time, right? More so, I didn't think it was me getting scared and having that anxiety because it was the end of the game. But the coolest thing about that story is once I made it in, my dad started laughing. And he said, damn, Cecilia, I tried to intimidate you. Like, I was trying through my mind. Like, he admitted what I already knew. But what was cool about that moment is I've never thought about feelings and emotions and thoughts in those ways. And so as I began to really understand myself, I started actually building more relationships with others because I understood the characters they were playing and the one I wanted to play. And so in the end, the conclusion I've really come to is the only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. And it's not until I let go of all beliefs that I grew up around with my parents and my dad and my friends that I realized the ones I wanted to embark on myself. See, I like to think of life just as a playful game of hide and go seek. When you know what you're looking for, you eventually find it. And that's the best philosophy I got. Thank you.
Woo!
That's not on. There we go. That was awesome, by the way. So good. Do you guys have any questions for her? Comments?
So I am super blessed that my desk is right by Cecilia's. And so I like get to eavesdrop all day long. She doesn't know that. I randomly answer questions other people ask her because I can hear them. But the coolest thing about Cecilia is she sits all day on her computer, cutting checks, doing all of this finance stuff with these TED Talks and these inspirational speeches going through her headphones in all day long. You walk past and you'll just look to see, oh, who is she listening to today? And that's one thing that I found is when I'm struggling with like depression or anxiety or something, if I really throw myself into motivation and reading books and listening to podcasts, it puts me in a different mindset. And I think it is so cool because Cece's been here, 2 years? And every day she's feeding her mind with motivation and listening to people come to her. And you would think it'd be commission questions. No, people want to come and talk life philosophies and get their CC therapy session. And I'm just so grateful that she's here and that she was willing to share some of her insight with us.
Thank you. Anyone else? Wasn't she fabulous? Oh, we got one in the back. Lori, who loves the microphone. It's coming your way. If you have 1 hour in the day, what do you want to do with that hour?
Up to now, I can honestly say that my favorite hour out of the day is actually I tell people to go trap themselves in a room alone, have a mirror, and just start talking to yourself. Because it isn't until you actually start talking to yourself and having conversations that you can actually hear your thoughts and what they speak back to you. And so when I started to actually take time to just be alone, and most of the time people will say like, oh yeah, make sure you practice and love yourself and be alone, but nobody teaches you really how. That was my way of doing it. It's just like, let's have fun. Let's have conversations. Let's see what we really want. And some of the things that I heard back from myself, it was fun. It surprised me. Yeah.
Hey, anybody else? Okay, well, thank you, Cecilia. We appreciate that. And yes, stop by and have a conversation with her if you
Will the
haven't.
recording be available?
What was that, Daylise?
Will the recording be available? With Sammy taking a new job, I want to make sure we still get recordings.
You will still get a recording.
Yay, this was awesome.
Thank you. Hey, you guys, really quickly, I would like to invite Robbie. Do you want to come to the front? Robbie has brought us lunch today, so we want to thank him really quickly and let him have just a minute to share his services with us. Thank you, Cecilia.
Hello, my name is Robbie. I am super nervous, so I'm gonna sit down if that's okay. I am not a great public speaker. Ugh. My name is Robbie. I am the office manager for Safe and Sound Home Inspection. We're based in Sandy. Panicking a little bit. We service all of Utah. We do, of course, your regular home inspection stuff, but we also, have our other services, sewer scope, meth, all illicit drug testing, radon, all of that stuff. I was supposed to have a few people with me today, but apparently there's something going around and everybody's sick. So God willing, I don't become sick. But I did bring lunch. I also brought some pricing sheets in the back that show kind of like the price increment changes depending on square footage, which is how our pricing is based, as well as our other services that we offer. Okay, all right, kind of side. I literally just got I do rodeo as a hobby, and I got back from Texas last night. I had a 3-hour delay in my flight, so I got in like at 12 in the morning last night, and then the order that I had originally, they did not have it ready, so I had to go with another location. So it's been a day. I'm shaking, so it's fine. But it's mostly for questions. If y'all have any questions for me, I would love to answer. I feel like that kind of breaks things down easier for me. So if anybody has anything. Availability is actually really great right now. Now that things have kind of slowed down a little bit, I feel we've had more people coming out of the woodwork that don't feel so rushed into skipping over a home inspection. So as of right now, we have availability almost within 48 hours, especially with our like radon testing that takes 48 hours to complete. Then we have the results. Meth testing is a little bit longer. I think that's 5 business days is what we aim for. But when it comes to air quality or mold testing, we actually work with a local it's called Sporesight. It's a tech company that specializes in air particulates, and they have results within 2 business days. So, and they're based in Orem. I think I did the date. And then pricing. Again, it'll be on the sheet. It starts out at anything from like townhouses or apartments that is floating at about $350. We also have military, education worker discount, and first responder discount, as well as first time home buyer discount. The teacher thing hits close to home. A lot of my siblings are teachers, so that was one that I really wanted. Pandemic stuff and how teachers they don't get enough. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Oh, I do shoot dogging, which is steer wrestling. I do bulls, riding bulls, riding steers, roping events. I don't have any horses. I live up north. I live in, if y'all familiar, of course, I live in Roy. But we don't have any land up there, so no horse events for me. But everything else I do. Yeah, we're hosting one next year, our first one in 20 years, in Golden Spike in Ogden. Literally the entire state as of right now. Yeah. We've been to St. George. We've done Evanston. We've been as north. Our bread and butter is really like Park City area, Battle Lake, and Ogden. We do have is more north than I guess Ogden. And believe is where the travel fee kind of kicks in. Sorry. And then above Park City. So a Heber-ish, that's where that travel fee comes in. But it's gotten a lot better since gas is not so crazy. I mean, again, putting that in the universe, hopefully it's not bad again. So yes. Anybody else? Anything? Sorry. Awesome. Okay, thank you.
You did great. Look at you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for lunch. You guys, the meeting has ended. He did bring us lunch, so please enjoy lunch together and have a great week.